Hey everyone, welcome back. We're going to be diving into something pretty interesting today, crypto-backed mortgages.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah, where you use like your Bitcoin or Ether as collateral
Right.
for a home loan instead of selling it.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting pretty popular these
Oh,
days.
yeah. Yeah.
As people are looking for alternatives to
Yeah,
like traditional financing. So
absolutely.
we're here to break it all down.
Yeah, it's really interesting how it kind of brings together this world of decentralized finance and this, age-old idea of owning a home.
Yeah.
And it all comes down to blockchain technology,
Right.
which is what makes this whole thing transparent and efficient.
It's like a futuristic twist on a very traditional system.
Yeah.
So how does this whole thing work?
Yeah.
Like, walk us through it.
Okay, so let's say you've got a good chunk of Bitcoin,
Okay.
that you don't want to sell, but you're ready to buy a place.
Mm-hmm.
You would start by finding a lender that specializes in these types of mortgages. There's a couple out there like Nexo Ledn or Salt Lending.
So not just any bank down the street.
No. You need to find a platform
Got it.
that specifically deals with crypto.
Okay.
And then they're going to do an eligibility check.
Yeah.
They want to see that you have enough crypto to cover the loan. And they'll probably look at your financial stability and credit history as well.
So it's not just a free pass because you have crypto.
No, not
They're
always.
still looking at your finances.
Absolutely.
Got it.
And they're going to make sure that you're complying with all the regulations, like anti-money laundering regulations.
Yes.
It's all about responsible lending.
Yeah.
Even in this new space.
Makes sense.
Okay, so let's say you pass all those checks.
Okay.
What happens next is you transfer your crypto to a secure escrow account,
Okay.
which is basically a holding area
Got it.
where your collateral is going to stay safe while the loan is active.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're going to do a property appraisal.
Right.
So an expert's going to determine, the fair market value of the home that you're buying.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, you'll lock in the loan terms.
Okay.
Things like interest rates and how you're going to repay it.
That's where it gets really interesting.
Yes.
The repayment options, I bet, are a little different
They can be.
than traditional mortgages.
You might have the option for like interest-only payments for a little while
Okay.
or a balloon payment at the end.
Right.
But here's where it gets a little tricky. You need to understand margin calls.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard that term thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
Explain it to me like I'm 5.
Okay, so imagine Bitcoin's value suddenly drops.
Right.
The lender might come to you and say, hey, we need you to top up your collateral
Okay.
to maintain that loan-to-value ratio.
So it's kind of like a safety net
Exactly.
for the lender.
A safety net for the lender.
But if I can't add more crypto,
Right.
I risk losing it.
That's the downside of the volatility.
Okay. It's a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But what are some of the benefits?
Right.
Why would somebody choose to do this over a traditional mortgage?
One big one is that you get to keep your crypto.
Okay.
You're not selling it, so you're not triggering a taxable event,
Right.
which is really appealing to people who think that, their assets are going to grow in value over the long term.
So you get the loan, you buy the property, and you still potentially ride that crypto wave.
Exactly.
But wouldn't I also miss out on gains?
You could.
If Bitcoin skyrockets while my funds are locked up as collateral?
It's a trade-off you have to consider.
Right.
Another benefit, though, is that the approval process is a lot more streamlined.
Sure.
So, traditional mortgages really care about credit score.
Hmm.
But with these crypto-backed loans, they're more focused on the value of your collateral.
I see. So even with crypto as collateral, they're still looking at my finances.
Absolutely.
But they're looking at the crypto itself as that security blanket.
Yeah, you got it. And, this could be really helpful for people who don't have, like, a perfect credit history,
Right.
but have built up a bunch of crypto holdings.
Now, you might be wondering how this relates to you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, imagine a system where your crypto holdings could open doors that traditional finance keeps shut.
Exactly.
That's the potential impact they're talking about.
That's it. And it's especially relevant when you look at traditional mortgage approval rates.
Okay.
For example, in Mississippi, between 2018 and 2022, only 52.14% of applications were approved.
Wow. That's surprisingly low.
Yeah, and it varies a lot by location.
Right.
And unfortunately, racial disparities also play a role here.
Really?
Yeah, Black applicants often face higher rejection rates
That's a good point.
than white applicants.
It sounds like crypto-backed mortgages could actually offer a more inclusive path to homeownership.
Yeah.
But let's be realistic. Are there any big drawbacks or risks we should be aware of?
Yeah, we've talked about the volatility aspect and how it can lead to those margin calls, but it's worth reiterating that, fluctuating crypto prices, that's the biggest risk factor here.
So while exciting, It's not for the faint of heart.
Exactly. And the regulations around all this are still developing, so
Right.
it's important to understand the loan terms,
Okay.
like the interest rates, repayment plans, and those margin call conditions.
So now that we've covered the basics,
Yes.
let's look at a real-world example.
Mm-hmm.
Ledn is making some serious waves in the Bitcoin-backed mortgage space. How about we dive into their approach a little bit more?
Let's do it. So Ledn, they're really focused on Bitcoin-backed mortgages,
Okay.
which is especially appealing to like investors
Mhm.
who are looking to diversify, get into real estate.
Right.
They don't want to sell their Bitcoin.
So you're tapping into the value of the Bitcoin without actually letting go of it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like, let's say you bought Bitcoin years ago
Mhm.
and it's gone up in value a lot.
Right.
Instead of selling it, paying all those capital gains taxes,
Right.
you use it as collateral
Oh,
to
no.
get a mortgage.
So you're really having your cake and eating it too.
Yeah.
What happens if the value of Bitcoin goes down, though, while I have the mortgage?
Right.
Am I on the hook for more?
That's where those margin calls come in.
Right.
If the value of your Bitcoin dips below a certain point,
Okay.
the lender's going to say, hey, you need to add more Bitcoin to your collateral.
Got it.
Now, this all relies on smart contracts.
Oh, yeah.
Remember we talked about those before?
Yeah.
Basically, they're like digital agreements
Hmm.
that automatically do things when certain conditions are met.
Okay.
So if your crypto's value falls too much,
Yeah.
a smart contract can automatically trigger a margin call.
So these smart contracts are like automated watchdogs
Yeah.
for the lender, making sure they're always protected.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
Got it.
They really help reduce the risk for lenders in this crazy market.
Right. So let's say I'm new to all this crypto investing stuff.
Okay.
What should I be looking for when I'm picking a platform
Right.
to get a crypto-backed mortgage from?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
So above all else, you want to focus on reputation and security.
Okay.
Do your research, look into their track record, and see what kind of safeguards they have
Right.
to protect your money.
So it's not just about finding the lowest interest rate.
Right. It's not just about that.
You really got to make sure my crypto's in safe hands.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
don't want to mess around with that.
Okay.
And of course, you should compare interest rates,
Right.
loan-to-value ratios,
Yeah.
repayment terms,
Yeah.
all that good stuff.
It's a lot to consider.
It is, but each platform is different. You got to find one that fits your goals and you know how much risk you're comfortable with.
Get him.
Yeah.
What other factors should I be thinking about?
You should definitely check to see if they support the crypto that you use.
Oh, right.
Because not all platforms accept every type of cryptocurrency.
I don't want to go through all that research just to find out they don't even accept what I hold.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
What about the legal stuff?
Right. The regulations.
Make sure they're complying with all the rules
Yeah.
in your area.
Mhm.
You don't want any legal headaches later on.
Compliance is key.
Yes, and here's a big one.
Okay.
Look for a platform that has good customer support.
Oh, that's important.
Because, buying a home,
Yeah.
it's a huge decision.
Absolutely.
And you want to be able to get help
Right.
when you need it.
For sure, I'm dealing with my home and my crypto here.
Right.
I don't want to be left hanging.
Exactly. So now that we've seen, a platform like Ledn, and we've talked about what to look for,
Right.
let's shift gears a little bit
Yeah.
and talk about, some of the bigger implications of this whole crypto-backed mortgage trend.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. You
Yeah.
know, we've seen how these crypto-backed mortgages work, the potential benefits, the risks, and what to look for when choosing a platform.
Mm-hmm.
But what does it all mean, like, in the big picture?
Yeah. Are these things just a fad, or are they going to,
Right.
completely change how we think about real estate?
It's definitely fascinating, right?
Yeah.
Like, using your crypto to buy a home without selling it
Mm-hmm.
is pretty appealing, especially when so many people are looking for new ways to, build wealth
Yeah.
and reach their financial goals.
And it's definitely tapping into this growing trend.
Yeah.
More and more people are into crypto.
Right.
And they're looking for options outside of the traditional financial system.
Mm,
So this approach could become the norm.
I see.
Imagine a world where your crypto is the key to owning a home,
Yeah.
even if your credit score
Right.
wouldn't get you a regular mortgage.
That's pretty powerful.
It is.
But I also wonder about the effects.
Yeah.
How could this impact the entire housing market?
That's a big question.
If this becomes really popular,
Yeah. Could we see a power shift, between the big banks
right?
and these crypto platforms?
It's interesting.
How will the government adapt to all this?
Yeah,
And what about like financial inclusion?
right.
Could this help people who have been shut out of traditional lending?
It's like we're on the verge of something huge,
We
a
are.
whole new way of thinking about owning a home and building wealth. And
Yeah,
it's all happening where crypto and real estate collide.
exactly. That's what makes this so exciting.
Yeah.
We're watching these two worlds come together,
Yep.
and the possibilities are amazing.
So for everyone listening out there,
Yeah.
here's something to think about as you learn more about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Could this be a good option for you?
Right.
How could it change your own investments?
Yeah.
Or even how you see home ownership?
The future of finance is being shaped right now,
It is.
and you all have a front row seat.
That's right.
Stay curious, stay informed, and as always, keep diving deep.
Thanks for joining us.